प्रिय विद्यार्थियों, आज हम बात करेंगे, डिस्कस करेंगे बीए पार्ट फर्स्ट पेपर की पहली पोएम द 7 एजेस ऑफ मैन। इस वीडियो में हम कुछ क्वेश्चन आंसर डिस्कस करेंगे of the poem 7 Ages of Man. First question: why does the poet say that the world is a stage? 7 Ages of Man. Answer: at the times of Shakespeare were full of pomp and circumstances as royal came and went. Violent times for many, but not for everyone. The times of popes and kings and queens meant some were born for greatness, and therefore much was expected of them. They were granted extra options and lived life to the full, or imposed a self-discipline that prevented the wild excesses of previous generations. So, from the Holy Scriptures, many were educated through to see that when prophecies came to pass, then there must be a God who made relations known in advance. To prove He is the God of eternity, as each generation passed by, there were still prophecies yet unfulfilled, and people would study these and wonder what was going to happen and to whom. So, there were promises to the faithful believers and judgments upon everyone else. From Adam and Eve, the promise of a Redeemer in Genesis 3:15, we get the plan of God presented, and that plan was fulfilled only in part. From Israel, there were many severe lessons that were explained to a select few, while many remained ignorant of such truths. So, when Shakespeare was telling his plays to the rich and the poor, he wasn't content to just tell stories of good and evil. He wanted to leave behind a legacy of instructions to future generations too. When he was aware of his own importance to the history of mankind, it changed him. It made him a more responsible writer. Despite telling violent and happy and sad themes, he wanted to convey the value of the gift within him to others, and thus inspire writers across the world. His Globe Theatre productions became fashionable, and his genius was recognized as if a gift from God to literature and the arts. Such recognitions can destroy a writer, yet we see a consistency in his art over the years. The tenderness of poetry mixed with high drama. The speeches that many can recite even today to be or not to be. Imagine if you had such a talent for historical dramas as well as poetry, wouldn't you be deeply involved in trying to remain a positive influence? Wouldn't you strive for eloquence in the performance? So, when a poet considers man, what can he do but considers the human conditions and reflect on Solomon's quote, all is vanity, and if somehow a retelling of such events could be shared, what then? Surely they would be so intricate that only a fool would try to tell what happened here and there and to whom, by whom, and why. Look at a mere baby, so fragile, so frail, so vulnerable, so precious a gift, yes, yet so easily harmed or endangered. Times when morality was everywhere, even prior to birth. Consider disease so common and hygiene so poor and war so fearfully near at all time, with rules and regulations, laws that could imprison you for years or hang you this afternoon. It's no wonder that man changes as he gets older and bolder, but then has to shoulder all responsibilities, even to fall in love and marry and raise a family, not knowing that would befall any of them in the next year or further along their lifetimes. Prophecy is one thing, astrology is another. The occult practices of warlocks and witches, sorcery here and there, court intrigues, friendships, and betrayals. Every single person capable of good and evil, and only God to know each life from beginning to end. So it was that a sense of destiny exists, with the future yet to be revealed, and yet unfolding as surely as the morning becoming the afternoon, and the afternoon becoming the evening. And then comes the night when anybody's life was at most risk. Even Macbeth had to question the afterlife. What then? Heaven or hell or a state of limbo, a void where nothing happened of any benefits to those unfortunate there. So, Shakespeare challenged his audiences with the tales of cause and effect, the twistings and tunings as plot met counter plot, and what a guilt for one's sins, and what of repentance, and what of salvation by faith and not by works, lest any man should boast. With the church officials on one hand, royalty on the other, and the common man somewhere in between such authorities, both claiming God's grace, yet sometimes as cruel as devils rather than kind as angels. Morality tales were fashionable, but Shakespeare wanted audience approval. He craved it and wanted a legacy after his parting, for he knew that he wasn't exempt from such a mortal's fate. He knew the actors came on stage and that couldn't stay there forever. He knew it as well. They couldn't remain there interfering in every single act, not even as ghosts. Nor would the audience remain standing for eternity watching a play forever. There is a time for every purpose under heaven. Even to the passing of kings and queens, royal families and empires, the prophecies unfold even to this day. They must come to pass, and we are helpless to change what must be, for its God's determined destiny. As the song say, whatever will be, will be. So, because of these conditions, Shakespeare wrote the Seven Ages of Man. Next question. What is the explanation of Jack's speech, Seven Ages of Man, from Shakespeare's As You Like It? In the first stanza, the poet describes the life of a stage where all the human beings they have their exits as death and entrances birth. As the time passes, brings past their stages, move to another stage playing their related role. In stanza second, here the description of seven stages has been started by birth. When we are an infant crying in nurse's arms, then the second stage of complaining school boy who is not ready to go to school. The stage of teenager where he is a lover who is singing melancholy for his beloved. The ballad is woeful as the separation of them makes the lover sad. After he is married to his mate, and at the soldier's stage, who is the man of the family, and with a clumsy appearance as he wears a pard like beard, he could not risk his life to save the honor of his country. And then he reaches his fifth stage of justice with a beard of formal cut, big manly voice, quoting wise saying, and face the world with a stern face expressions as well as gentleman. Then he shifts to the sixth stage where he is very old and lean with the specs on his nose and a pouch of loose hanging skin beside his nose. The clothes when he was young were now loose to him. His legs have shrunk and he is weak and feeble. And then comes the last stage where the player is about to exit, means die. He is feeble and his childish voice, who was lost his memory capacity, and then meets death, where he is left without teeth, tails, taste, eyes, nose, and everything. So these were the two questions of the seven ages of man. In the next video, we will discuss some more questions.